and we're gonna go up 529 West 20th Street, see an exhibition by Mark Greenwald. But first, I just wanted to comment a little bit on the musician that introduced this program. I see a lot of musicians. I probably recorded several hundred of them by this point, but
Mr. Kalm.
but it's rare that I've seen someone that actually has enough passion that they would haul a upright piano into the subways and play. And I don't know, to me that really sort of says everything you need to know about what it means and the passion you need to be an artist. We're going to stroll into GARTH GREENAN Gallery and see an exhibition by Mark Greenwald. Well, make a quick stroll around here. Actually, this is great. The sparse hanging really gives you a chance to focus in on the individual works. Well, the title of this show is The Rumble of Panic Underlying Everything, and that's the title of this painting. Well, I first started seeing Mark's work probably about 25, 30 years ago, and I was impressed. I think I went into Phyllis Kind Gallery, and there was one painting in the entire gallery. This is a self-portrait of Mark right here, and well, I guess you would have to consider Mark as a hyperrealist, and I think the other interesting thing is that he's actually kind of gone through realism and has come out on the other side with some kind of shall we say, psychedelic, maybe overrealism. I don't want to call it surrealism, but superrealism. Well, I've even gotten to know Mark a little bit, and he's an interesting character. He's very energetic and very opinionated, and I think he lived out in California for many years, and I'm gonna have to talk to him about his experience out there. This is titled A Matter of Life and Death. For Selma, 2015 oil on canvas mounted on board. And, well, they got another, looks like a self-portrait of Mark hanging from the ceiling. Maybe that's another portrait of him. I actually saw him on the way out. And another portrait. I was talking to Mark about how remarkable his level of realism is, and I was saying that I'd recently been to Bruges and saw a wonderful Van Eyck, but as I was pedaling over here on my bike, I was thinking about the great Chicago superrealist, and that was Ivan Lorraine Albright. Now, these are the kind of things I was talking about, where he's kind of broken through realism and got into the kind of the psychedelic, crazy painterly side of things. And I was joking with him about all the nudity, and he He was saying that I guess his therapist had encouraged him to open up. What will survive of us is love. 2013 to 2014, and I guess that his last show that I covered was 2013, and that was down at Speroni on the Bowery. The other thing I think is great is that Mark is an oil painter. And here's kind of a cluster of his, I don't know what you call it, psychedelic mists or psychedelic clouds that are sort of floating around these. And so this is probably the totality of his work over the last 3 years. And it's also interesting to note that he kind of plays with perspective and scale. This kitty cat's almost as big as some of these figures standing around this bed. There's also a book that accompanies this exhibition. Looks like a great little catalog. They got a lot of details. Let's look at some of these faces. I mean, when you look at the reflection and the transparencies and the shadows of these glasses, that's remarkable. You know, a lot of people think I'm only interested in abstraction, but I think that Mark is probably one of the most important and maybe influential realists practicing today. We're going to wrap up looking at the paintings with this one. This is titled Human Kindness. Now, I know a lot of these people are Mark's friends. I know in his last show he had a couple of portraits of Chuck Close. And, well, some of the things that he does with the facial gestures remind me of he was an Austrian sculptor named Messerschmitt who did a lot of just studies of kind of grotesque faces and distorted gestures. Oh, this little girl's nice. But again, we've got kind of a strangely distorted scale. The other thing is Mark doesn't hold back on the warts, pimples, age spots, freckles. That's all juicy stuff to work with. Let's look at the drawings. This is a study for the rumble of panic underlying everything. And this is actually larger than the oil painting. Oh, he's got a couple of pages pasted together. And, Mark is a wonderful draftsman. You know, I was mentioning Ivan Albright, the great Chicago realist, and we're going to wrap up looking at this. It's titled Josie, 2015. I remember reading that Jean Dubuffet actually went to Chicago and visited Albright in the early 50s, and I think at that point Albright was working on a painting that he had actually built a little room and had a whole set there on a rotating table, and Dubuffet went in and said it gave him the creeps. And well, I guess that is high praise for a realist. So, this is James Kalm coming to you from the GARTH GREENAN Gallery, and we're making a quick little run-through of Mark Greenwald, The Rumble of Panic Underlying Everything. Well, how about this? I just bumped into Mark Greenwald here on the street. I just visited the Greenwald, excuse me. Greenwald.
Right.
So you worked on this show. This is like 3 years worth of work?
Yeah, I moved to New York. This is all new work.
And you're from working out in California before that?
No, where was I working? I was in upstate New York for many, many years, but now I'm living in the city for 4 years.
Weren't you also spending time in California though, as a young artist?
Man, as a Calo youth, I spent a lot of time in California.
Did you go to Cal Arts or any of that stuff?
I didn't. I taught at UCLA.
Okay.
Career.
And the realism, this is all oil paint that you're working with, right?
Oil paint, but I reject the idea of realism, as I've probably told you many times.
Well, what do you call it then?
I call it, well, I don't have what I think, I'm like Kafka. I need reality in order to depart from it. So, and we call it hysterical realism.
Hysterical realism.
You know, I'm interested in transforming the world, not depicting it.
Almost going into realism so deep that you come out on the other side. Exactly. And there's some other strange world out there.
Exactly. That's it.
Okay.
That's it. Sorry not to be inarticulate about it, but it is, somebody just asked me, we're talking about Catherine Murphy, who I think is a great painter and a realist.
Sure. Yes.
And I don't look at reality. Reality doesn't interest me. I look at fucking photographs. And I hallucinate on them like some crazy ass medieval monk.
So you are from California.
And I am from California. I was shaped very much by the eccentricity of being out there.
Now, the paint, you got any special mediums and stuff you're using, or is it pretty much just straight oil paint and turpentine?
I glaze, I do all sorts of things that painters do, but I'm not interested in talking about it because it's so secret that I've got all the secrets.
That's why we try to pry into that.
That's right. Now, oil paint's an amazing material. 35,000 years of painting, and how many thousand years of oil painting? I can't remember.
A lot.
Since Van Eyck.
So you've actually speeded up your process, because I remember, I think the first painting I saw took you 2 or 3 years, and
I'm painting. I don't teach anymore, and that's huge. Has changed my life. I paint full time. I love it. It's a great privilege, as you know.
Exactly.
And you know, teaching is great. It's like social practice. You know, I did it actually because I never thought I could make a living painting, and I still don't. Painting's not a career, it's a calling. So
absolutely.
But working at your work and not worrying about other people's, as a teacher, is a great privilege.
Okay, well, Mark, I'm going to let you go. Well, I'm going to hit a few more galleries.
All right, it's good to see you again.
All right, thanks. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we're going to run into here to David ZWINER. We're going to see, or we're going to try to see, an exhibition by Raul De Keyser. Well, I'm late. Probably only got about 10 minutes before they shut down the gallery. So I'll just make a quick little stroll through here, and if I see something noteworthy, I'll stop. Well, Raul De Keyser is is a Belgian abstract painter that's, well, I think he passed away a couple of years ago, but he'd worked for a long time and I guess achieved a certain amount of recognition, but I think that David ZWINER is definitely gotten a lot of people's attention here in New York with his work, and this is titled Closerie, Berliner Ensemble, 1998, oil on canvas, 78 by 47 inches. And I guess in certain ways, I would say that this work relates to kind of the provincial painting that Raphael Rubinstein was talking about. It's untitled. One of the things that I like about it is that this is a nice little diptych. This is someone that really had a feel for the materials. And he was interested in a lot of kind of little painterly tropes. You notice the green stripe there on the edge. And here on the blue, kind of painted the side gray. The other thing that's interesting for me is that most of the previous work that I've seen has been fairly small scale. Well, I'm going to keep running because they're getting ready to close down the gallery. This is titled Retour 2, 1999, oil on canvas, 65 by 43 inches. And, well, there's a nice kind of casual quality about this. And yeah, even the way that these canvases are stretched kind of bespeaks of a kind of nonchalance. Well, here are a couple of larger pieces. It's titled Siesta, oil on canvas, 75 by 55 inches. And, well, I was just talking to some fellow art heads, and I asked them what they thought, and they said, don't ask. And, well, I told them the story that I was recently in Belgium, and we would go through and see these museums of modern art and contemporary art, and like every time we'd go into one of them, Raoul's paintings would stand out as, what could I say, maybe the most challenging, the most unpretentious pieces. This is titled Come On, Play It Again, number 4. .74 by 47. So that's about 6 by 4 feet. Well, it's after closing time. I know there is some kind of an abject unfussiness about the work that I like. I'm not going to have time for these titles. This piece is probably about 12 by 20. Oh, this is a nice little piece. It's about 6 inches square, kind of reads as a landscape. Also, I think that Raoul was probably developing his painting at the same time some other I guess what you would call more conceptual-based painters were working in Europe. In France, you had the BMPT group and Support Surface. This is Come On, Play It Again, number 2, 2001. Oil on canvas 51 by 74. And as I was saying, you know, these kind of washy, unfussy surfaces, and just kind of you can pick up on a certain attitude from the way the paint is applied. That is not so easy, and a lot of young people, young painters, try to accomplish something like this, and it just comes off as mannered and affectated. This is Untitled, oil on canvas, 20 by 18 inches. That's interesting, and this little dash adds something there. I thought this was a nice piece. I like the way that he really lets his materials speak. You can see the weave and the linen, and well, there's not a lot of buildup of layers of paint. It's just kind of come up with your design and hit it. Well, they're looking at me like they want to go home, so we're not going to get to the titles on most of these. That's probably about a 24-inch square. Oh, this is nice. So we've got the 4 dots, and then the treatment on the edge. I went to a Gary Steffen show the other day, and some of this kind of recalls his project, but and even Mary Heilman kind of comes to mind, the way that there's a kind of a performative aspect to these. They're kind of designed so that the process of painting kind of dictates the composition and vice versa. It's titled Bern, Berlin, Hängen, 1993. Gallery closes at 6. Thank you. Okay, so that's the signal. That was 33 by 47. Well, we'll just run down this final wall. Oh, I like that. He's got this hung with a kind of a staple in there. Eye screw. Canvas boards. Like a miniature Barnett Newman. And most of these are probably under a foot. Oh, I like that. It's got some collage in there. Is that a bicycle? You know, in many ways, part of his aesthetic is to reduce painting down to its bare minimum. It's like how little can you do and still call it a painting? It's titled Front 1992 Oil and Canvas 64 by 48 inches. And, again, we've got these little noogies. And the phthalo green kind of feathered in on one side. We're going to wrap up looking at this. Torse 1992, 24 by 19 inches. This is James Kalm reporting on Raul De Keyser, Drift, here at ZWINER, 537 West 20th Street in Chelsea. Thank you, Kate.